Next up in the Roland Joffé set is 1989's Fat Man and Little Boy, starring Paul Newman as General Groves, a man who is tasked in World War II to go and work on this project, a top secret project where he's going to have pretty much carte blanche to try and solve this issue they have, the issue of creating the atomic bomb. And we have Dwight Schultz as Oppenheimer, the sort of lead scientist brought in to gather the best minds in the country and create something truly terrifying. And this is a great primer for Oppenheimer, which is coming in the summer. It was a movie I had never heard of before, with an absolute fantastic cast that was really interesting to follow along. Now, the title Fat Man and Little Boy was in reference to the two bombs that were made and dropped in Japan, causing the complete destruction there. And we kind of follow a lot of the group of people who are instrumental in creating this destructive force.
Krauts are working on this, full bore. If they get it before we do, I don't have to spell it out. So, where would you start?
Paul Newman as Groves is a wonderfully stern character, tasked with a job which is to protect his country at all costs. And even though the war is winding down, he still sees future threats on the horizon and is driving this project forward. He has this group of scientists, and you see it within some of the scenes in the movie, that he will do whatever it takes to drive them on, to motivate them, to get them to the place where everything is complete.
Doesn't this make him an unacceptable risk?
No! Failure's a risk.
Whether it be to the detriment of the scientists' lives, to their social lives, to their health, to the detriment to other generals in the army. His career is taking a downfall because of this secret mission that he is working on.
Let me remind you of something else. You see this? I count two. You got one. When this war is over, that's going to amount to something.
I kind of liked Fat Man and Little Boy, but it wasn't as fascinating as the other two films in this set. I find that a lot of the characters were really great, but I feel that the movie doesn't spend enough time with them to really get to know them better than what we do. General Groves is such a closed-off character. He is an army general. He is shouting, and pensive looks are his kind of forte, sometimes using his words to manipulate people, often staying quiet and saying the most minimal of things. Oppenheimer himself seems a little bit more emotional. For a scientist whom I feel should be more dedicated to his job, he seems more intent on his private life, where it focuses on a little bit on this one. There is a great side story involving John Cusack as well, which was really interesting, and I would like to have seen more of that. And his relationship with Laura Dern, a nurse at this facility that they have made up, is really great.
It's coming close, what you're working towards, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can feel it pressing down on everybody.
A lot of the things that are going on here are pretty fascinating. Just watching them go through the trials and tribulations, how it rushes certain details, you know, when they really need to find the next step in the chain of how they're going to make this bomb work. Cue the next scene where it just leads to them discovering it. You know, you don't see too many failures along the way as they're struggling to figure out the right idea of how to do this. I feel that a lot of the personal lives are sugar-coated and given us in small bits that are just film-centric. You know, the kind of things you see in films that just link us are supposed to just give you a quick feeling of a relationship, but it just feels on the surface. It doesn't feel like we're getting to the hearts of the characters and discovering more about them.
Anyway, I'm sure we're going to be allies, General. We're both trying to seduce the same man.
I love Paul Newman in the movie. I think he's fantastic. But like I said, he's a character who is often reading classified documents and looking pensive or trying to manipulate people, and you just don't get a sense of that character at all. He is the typical movie general, shouting, demanding and manipulating. Other than that, there was nothing to the character for me, even though the performance was great. Dwight Schultz's Oppenheimer was really good, but again, we kind of focus more on some of the secondary scientists in this one, which I kind of liked. It was interesting following some of them, even though I didn't know what part they were kind of working on at certain moments. It was still nice to get away from some of these more characters that were a little bit tropey into these side characters that were doing things that were seeming more interesting than the main characters.
Michael, we get a hollow sphere of plutonium, and we compress it with an explosion that goes in, an implosion.
Chain reaction.
Boom!
Fat Man and Little Boy was fun at moments. It dragged its pacing a little bit in the middle and got a little bit schmaltzy in certain moments as well. A little bit stuck in its own tropes almost, but with the cast, with the execution of it, the way it looked, it was all fine. It was a fun movie, but coming after the killing fields and the mission, it just felt like a step down. Wasn't one that I was emotionally impacted by like I was with those first two movies. Not a bad thing, but this is the kind of one that I would watch and I probably wouldn't go back to again. Fine, one-time watch. I would love to know your thoughts on Fat Man and Little Boy. Let me know in the comment box below whether you loved it, hated it, just kind of fell into the middle of it. I would love to know your thoughts, and if you've got the time, hit the like button because it really helps these videos. There's more content up here if you want to see more of my stuff, and don't forget in the description box below are links to the Patreon membership program, manvfilm.com, all ways in which you can support me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Man v Film.